Hi, this is Dawn Richerson on Soulstreams Audio here on SoundCloud, and also we'll be sharing this on my YouTube channel, Letters to Church and Society. So I'm going to talk to you about Diagnosis, Hypnosis, Society. We've got a problem. Houston and every place else in the United States and the world, we've got a problem, and it's called Diagnosis, Hypnosis. And here's what's going on. You know, we like to label things, don't we? We like to label people. We like to put them in little boxes and categories. And sometimes that's pretty easy to do, isn't it? Yes, because anybody who doesn't fit into societal norms or, the prescribed norm is conveniently labeled and pushed aside. And that's the way the machine works. And you know what? Those of us who don't want to be a part of the machine, or who know we came for something more from the get-go, like who are awake and who understand that this life is about being the light and the love we are, and that has no bounds. Those of us who understand that are easily categorized, labeled, and conveniently packaged and put aside. And I myself experienced this in a number of ways, most dramatically by being labeled crazy and given diagnoses, psychological diagnoses, mental illness diagnoses, misfit, problematic child diagnoses, etc., etc. And we see it everywhere. We see kids labeled, ADHD and other categories. Now, I am not disputing the fact that, some children are assisted, as are adults, assisted by medication and or a proper care by a trained physician or other professional. However, we've got a real problem, don't we? Let's look around. Do we really think that just because someone sees the world differently, that we need to give them a label and, hang a little sign around their neck, and then every time we look at them, we see them with the label? I see this happen all the time, in particular now that I'm grown with children who are labeled and boxed up, and from then forward, their own parents and their own families and their own friends and their own teachers and all of those systems that we have created to supposedly protect and nurture them actually become the thing that destroys their spirit. So here's the thing. We've got to wake up, society. We've got to wake up. We've got to stop with this prognosis of diagnosis, hypnosis. We've got to stop making it, putting on our blinders and making it all about something must be wrong with you because you are not fitting into the prescribed way of doing things. We've got to create a world where we begin with the freedom. We were created free, born free, and meant to live free, meant to fly for freedom, only fly for freedom. And when we see others flying for freedom, let's change our perspective. Let's look at that and let's celebrate that. And let's champion their free spirit. Yes, if you are a parent, and I'm not suggesting that, everybody run amok. And if you're a parent, obviously you need to decide how you will guide your children. But the thing is, we've got to stop squashing people and labeling them and burdening them with all of these labels and all of these judgments that are really designed to protect us from having to face the truth that this is a big, wide world, and there are lots of us here who have very differing opinions and we bring forth different aspects of light. That's what we're here to do, to be light, to be the light we are in unique and creative and innovative ways. And it's time for each of us to shine and to begin with the light and the life and the love we are, not with a label that somebody has put upon us. And when we look at others, let's try first to see with the eyes of love, and let's meet them at that common ground. We are, in our full humanity, in our full divinity, we share a common cup, and we are at our root much more alike than different, and we are, again, born for freedom. So those are my thoughts on, it's gotten to the point where, also another place these labels show up is if somebody breaks a rule or breaks out of convention, then they are easily, by various systems that we ourselves have created, they are easily, again, marked and or identified as something, or given a directive or a prescription, if you will, to go and do this thing because this will fix it. And I'm not suggesting, again, that we don't have law and order. However, I am suggesting that something's a little bit off when we are more interested in, again, categorizing, separating, labeling, classifying, and declassifying, otherwise controlling, essentially, who somebody is, because we don't want to handle the truth about who we are. And it's time for us to wake up, to come out of that sleeping sickness, and to embrace the beautiful truth that this is a place where we are on a journey together, discovering who we are. And we got to give a little more room to those who bring in, some of them bring in, a new awareness meant to shake us up a bit. It's meant to open our eyes. And some of us, who have a connection to spirit and source that was not either remained open, or that is, there are flashes, of essentially brilliance and insight, and then that is called into, not only called into question, it is, put aside and labeled as something unwanted or dark. And then we get confused. Those of us who see it, we see the labeling going on, we see the diagnoses. That person's this person's that. That person, they're just not going to make it because this, and they're not fitting in because of this, and on it goes. And it's like a delusion. It's like a layer of a film of fog is, put down on us, and it's like we can no longer even distinguish what is real, and then we get caught up in the collusion again. We just go along with all of these little, classifications and labels and diagnoses, and it does become hypnotic. And we get caught up like in the trance. And sometimes almost always it is easier to do that than to dare to stand with someone who has been labeled, particularly with certain kinds of labels and diagnoses. And by the way, when I use this word diagnosis, I am not just talking about medical diagnosis. My experience, that's been a very strong part of it, back, really for my whole life, but, as a child somewhat, and then, in my 20s and 30s, certainly, there were far too many people, this is what's wrong, this is how you need to fix it, this is how you need to address it. And in a few cases, very direct, quote, diagnoses, which, if correct at all, was only partially correct and was only a convenient label given to symptoms that had, that the treatment of which did nothing to address the original root cause, which was, in my case, and I believe in many cases, a separation from self, often forced, and often that occurs because the individual is actually experiencing a spiritual awakening or has been awake and can no longer sustain that in this world that we have co-created here. So, I don't have all the solutions, and my intention in sharing this is just to raise the question. Maybe the next time it's really easy to look at some individual who seemingly is acting in a way that is not conventional, not proper, not expected, maybe, just maybe, we need to look at that and then look back at ourselves and connect with the light in ourselves and connect with the light in that individual and meet them in love. Because it is love, in my case, love between the poles, because I was labeled as bipolar, and while I did have experiences of both mania and depression, so that in that case, in that sense, maybe I fit the definition. It was the love between the poles that I was so longing for, and I couldn't find my grounding here because my experience, my knowing, my heart, the light that I am, the life that I am, and the love that I am did not fit in the small container that it was seemingly supposed to fit in. And so I really feel strongly that we must begin within, all of us, and every day, with every single relationship, with every single time we meet the eyes of another. We must see light, we must see life, we must see love, and we must begin there. Begin within and expand radiantly and co-create a world where we fly free together. And I believe that the vast majority of so-called problems will be self-corrected when we do that. And so, yes, particularly, parents, do what you feel is best, and, for your children. And yes, love those in your life. And if you truly believe that they would benefit from professional help of any variety and or other guidance, then certainly, encourage that. But let's maybe have a little more self-responsibility. Let's maybe look at those people that we think that are a problem, and let's look at them and find the light. Let's look at them and find the life. Let's look at them and find the love, and let's celebrate them. Let's celebrate that. Let's meet them in the middle in love. And in so doing, and as we care for our own souls, as we grow our souls and share those fine gifts of original design that we've been granted, as we do that, we will reorient to a world where there isn't this, sort of lockdown placed upon those who don't fit into the lane that we have laid out. Because not all of us came here to do it in the prescribed way. As a matter of fact, most of us, when we really wake up and understand the truth of who we are, know that we are lights meant to shine far brighter than society would tell us, and or other organizations or other conventions would tell us is meant to be. The way that we are accustomed to seeing the world is, first of all, based on scarcity and separation. And there is no separation, and there is no scarcity, because, we have come for life, and the life more abundant. We have come to be free, to flow free, to be bright lights, to share life, the bread of life, with one another, to come to life and live in full expression, and to be love unconditionally for all. So those are my thoughts on diagnosis hypnosis. Lots of love to everybody. Bye-bye. This is Dawn Richerson. You can find out more about my work at dawnricherson.com and connect to 90 Days to Life, to come to life and live in full expression. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.